Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Happy Hour. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Happy Hour. Today, I have one that I'm very excited about. I'm going to be tasting, reviewing the trio of Bowmore. Bowmore is a weird, Bowmore is such a popular distillery from Islay. And it's one that I've been kind of, strangely enough, I've never tried Bowmore. I should probably start with that. I've never had a Bowmore in my entire life, if you can believe that. Really for no other reason than I keep forgetting about them. I've said in a couple of videos, there's so many damn amazing whiskeys out there. Scotches, in particular, I'm talking about now. And so many amazing distilleries, and I'm just like all over the map. I'm trying to like just shove as much in me as possible and learn as much, But yeah, Bowmore, for whatever reason, I just keep forgetting about it. I keep seeing it. I'm like, no, I'll get that next time. But anyways, I placed an order. If you watched one of my videos a couple months ago or whatever, I placed an order from overseas for some pretty cool bottles that I can't find here. And the cool thing is they have a lot of samples on this particular website as well. So I got one of the little sample packs I got was this little Bowmore. Bowmore sample pack, a collection of 3 of the finest Bowmore single malt scotches, which includes a little sample of the 12-year-old, the 15-year-old, which is called the darkest, 15-year-old darkest, and then their 18-year-old. So I think, a pretty good selection of the core range there, 12, 15, and 18. I think the 15-year-old is the only one that has anything unique about it, or I shouldn't say unique, but other than just the age statement on there. It's called the darkest, and it's sherry cask finish. I don't know if these two have any sherry influences in them or not, but I'm not really worried about it. I didn't do any research other than Bowmore is a distillery on Islay. It's one of the oldest distilleries, actually. I think they go back to like 1770. Actually, it says it on here, doesn't it? Yeah, like 1779. So they've been around a few years. They're a heavy hitter, right? They're a heavyweight. When you think of Islay, at least when I think of Islay, Ardbeg and Laphroaig are the 2 first names that come to mind. And then very, very, very shortly behind that, Lagavulin and Bowmore. Those are the 4 that I know there's others. I have other whiskeys from them as well, but those are the 4 kind of big names that if you were to ask me to say 4 Islay distilleries really quickly, those would probably be the first 4 that I would think of. So yeah, I'm stoked to finally try Bowmore. I'm not putting it off any longer, and I figured since it's been so long, I'm not just going to try one. I'm going to try all 3 in the core range. So I'm not going to do a blind tasting. I'm not too worried about that. You can see I've got different colored Glencairns at least, so I know what the hell's which. So I'm going to put the 12-year-old in the black. I'm going to do the 15-year-old darkest in the red cup, and then we'll leave the 18-year-old for the gold cup. I think it's only fitting. So let me pour them up, and we'll jump right in, see what we think. All right, so we got a nice little sample of each in their respective glasses. So I should remember, hopefully, which one's which. I'm sure I will. So 12, 15, 18. Let's work our way up. So 12-year-old. Whoa, Pete. Ha! Hello, Islay. Oh, wow. That smells great. This is the 12-year-old? Oh, man, I've been missing out. Wow, that smells... I can't even talk. That smells friggin' amazing on 2 sniffs. So there's quite a bit of peat in there, but it's not like a absolute punchy in the nuts, like a Laphroaig 10 or an Ardbeg. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty heavily peated. It's not mucking about, but it's actually... Oh God, it smells so good. It's like there's sweetness. This smells sherried as well. There's a sweet, rounded, earthy, like almost almost as much campfire as there is like peat smoke, like wood smoke. Oh God, that smells so good. Holy crap. Man, I've been waiting too long. All right, that's the 12-year-old. I'm not going to drink yet. I'm going to move on to the 15. Okay, that is different. Oh, that smells so good too. I think I'm going to be a broken record here, guys. So wow. This smells kind of like the 12-year-old with toned down a little bit on the smoke, and then with a little bit more of a sherry kick, which kind of makes sense. I think that's what it says in the tin, right? It is a little more mellowed out. Maybe the age. There's actually a little bit of a weird, what the hell is that smell? This one's got a little bit of like a rubber tire, like a burning tire smell a little bit. I get that a little bit on like I think on the Freud 10. Huh, okay, well that smells really good too. Yeah, it's a sherried, it's slightly different other than the sherry. If there was no sherry, it would still be unique compared to the 12, but then there's an extra sherry kick. All right, the 18. Okay. Yep, toned down. Everything's toned down. When I say toned down, you know, I've heard the guys on Whiskey Tribe talk about this, and it really makes sense. It's like the older whiskey gets, there's like, you know, the young whiskey is like a sharp rock, right, with all the sharp edges. And the older the whiskey gets, aging in a barrel, it's kind of like throwing, you know, having a stone sit in the water, and over years and years and years, it just takes the edges and rounds everything off a little bit. That really, the analogy makes sense to me, because that's what I smell when I generally smell older whiskeys. And specifically with, again, the same juice, for lack of better words, between the 12 and the 18, they're very similar. Yeah, they're very similar. This just smells a little more balanced, a little more, just the edges, the sharp edges taken off a little bit. Wow, they're friggin' awesome so far. I love the nose on all of them. They're all different in their own way. All right, let's taste. We're gonna start with the 12-year-old. That nose is great. Wow, that's good. That's sweeter than it smells. Wow, this is really well balanced. Like, so yeah, okay, I should probably talk. So there's a lot of peat here. This is very peaty. I'm getting a sweetness right out of the gate. The peat hits you first, and then there's a nice round balanced sweetness. Let me take another sip. Yeah, there's not. It's really good. I'm not getting a ton. I'm getting a little bit of cocoa, actually, kind of mid palate. I'm getting just a kind of a general sweetness. I don't know if it's like a kind of barrel sweetness, maybe a little bit of malt sweetness, and then smoke. It's peat again. It's kind of a peat cross between a peat and campfire, like wood smoke and peat smoke. It's quite nice. I probably should have looked at these. I think this tastes pretty weak. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's 40%. Well, that's why it tastes pretty weak. Yeah, you know what? That's the only thing, again, right out of the gate I would say that if this was 43 at least, or 46, even better, I think it would just be a million times better. It's really good, but there's just that kind of wateriness. And it's a pretty quick finish. It's a nice peated whiskey. Not a lot of, I can't pull out a lot of interesting. I tend to have a little bit of a hard time with peated whiskeys, picking out a lot of other notes past the peat. Like I can get general sweetnesses and, you know, maybe some kind of fruitiness, but it's hard for me. The peat tends to kind of cloy everything else a little bit. But that's good. I like that. Excuse me. I like that. I wish it was a little higher ABV because I think it's a little bit weak on the finish. But anyways, take a little swig of this. All right, so this is the 15-year-old darkest sherry cask finish. Oh, that smells good. That's nice. The sherry really comes through on the flavor that almost kind of moves the peat aside, the smokiness aside a little bit. It's there, it's smoky, but the sherry really kind of punches through. That's nice. It's quite similar to the first one. Definitely get more sherry, hence being finished in sherry casks. The sherry does really come through the smoke a little bit more, so it adds a little bit more dynamic flavoring, a little more dynamics to the flavor. Like I said, this one was a little bit lost in the peat, I think. This one definitely comes through. It tastes a little bit stronger. Yeah, this one's 40, 43. All right. So yeah, there's a little bit extra there. Maybe that's helping it. Probably is helping the flavor. This is really quite nice. That's good. I don't know. I don't know that I don't know. That's a tough one. What I'm having a hard time with is the age, a 15-year-old. I don't know that it tastes like a 15-year-old whiskey to me, although I don't really know how to define a 15-year-old whiskey. Although, you know what? As I'm saying it, the finish is quite rounded. I'm getting a little bit of nuttiness, which I've in the older whiskeys I've tried, kind of the 18 and up. I have found that I get this almost kind of hazelnut, which sounds a bit weird. Maybe almond, like a nuttiness on the finish, which I can only assume is something to do with the barrel since it's been in there that long. I don't know. Again, talking out of my ass, but I do get a little bit of that kind of round nuttiness at the end. This is really quite nice. I think I would need a little bit more time with this because, again, the smoke is there and it's kind of like constantly screaming in your ear. So it's a little bit hard for me to focus on some of the other flavors. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I'm getting that nuttiness on the end, which I really like. Okay. 18-year-old. Yeah. I kind of wish I did this blind now because I'm telling myself that I would have been able to guarantee this was the 18-year-old, but like BS, right? Because who the hell can tell now? But there is definitely that stone analogy that anything that was kind of spiky in the 12-year-old, which wasn't much, it's kind of more bland than anything, but I get that nuttiness. The smoke, the peat is definitely a little bit more subdued. Now, part of that could be the fact that I've just had 3 peated whiskeys in a row, and it tends to kind of get acclimatized to it a little bit after a few sips, or at least I do. But the peat is definitely knocked down a little bit more, and the whiskey comes through a little bit more, and that whiskey is a little more rounded. I could kind of now get the darker fruits, the raisins, a little bit of a raisiny date flavor. Especially afterwards, it's really still there. It's like dates and nuts in the back, or at the end of the taste. Yeah, that's really well rounded and well balanced. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm gonna definitely have to sit with that. You know what actually reminds me of a little bit? We did a Johnny Walker tasting, little samples of 4 different Johnny Walkers, the kind of the higher end versions, and I wasn't really in love with the blue label. I think the 18-year-old gold is my favorite out of them, and even that wasn't that great. But I finished off the rest of that blue label after the video, and I tended to like it, started to like it even a little bit more. And it was this weird, this hazelnut flavor that I was getting on the aftertaste as my palate got coated a little bit more and more. I'm getting a little bit of that in here. So It's got to be something to do with the aging of the whiskey, which I really like. It's a unique flavor for me. I'm calling it hazelnuts because that's what it kind of reminds me. It reminds me of like hazelnut spread, like Nutella, I think, or something with like hazelnuts in it. Yeah, it's really, it's quite interesting. And then there's that smoke on this one. A little bit in the Johnny Walker Blue too, but there's definitely it in here. Okay, so that was a really quick review. Well, not that quick, but quick for 3 whiskeys that I've never tried before. I liked them all. I'm a little disappointed in the 12-year-old's finish. The nose on all of them was amazing. I haven't had a peated whiskey today, so maybe it was that. I love peated whiskey, so it was kind of like, woo, I got my juices flowing, just smelling peat again. The peat is interesting, though. It isn't like the Ardbegs and the Lafroigs. It is a little bit of a mix between kind of a campfire and a peat, which I like. It's unique. It's a little bit unique. The 12-year-old nose was amazing. Taste good. Pretty quick finish. The 40% I don't think does it any favors. If it was 43, I think it would be considerably better. The 15-year-old sherry I think was really nice. I do like sherried whiskeys, and sherried whiskeys that are peated are also quite unique. I like them, like Ugadal. Ardbeg Ugadal is probably my favorite because I think the strong flavors in the sherry and the kind of overwhelmingness that peat can bring, I think the sherry can really kind of punch through that peat a little bit and kind of hold its own. So I do like that. Other than that, I don't get a whole lot of other flavor profiles other than just general sweetness. This guy, the 18-year-old, yeah, there goes my budget. Definitely the best of the 3, in my opinion. It's kind of got the best of everything here, other than the super sherried notes. But then again, just kind of the edges all kind of trimmed down a little bit, and then I really do get that nuttiness on the end in the aftertaste, which is really interesting. And I do like that. So let me do a quick rating. I would say the 12-year-old. So actually, let me start with pricing, because rating really kind of, in my opinion, the way I do my ratings, they're really kind of price orientated, or I think that's a pretty good factor. I try to factor that in. So I looked up, the 12-year-old is $65 here in Chicago. The 15-year-old darkest is $100, $99.99, $100 for the 15-year-old. And then the 18-year-old is $150. So with those prices and then what I've experienced here, my ratings would be thus. The 12-year-old, I think I'm going to give it, I don't know. I think, I don't know why I'm stressing over this. I honestly want to give it like a 6.5, because I was like so hopeful when I first smelt it. And then the taste, the weakness in the end, and that 40% really kind of bummed me out. And then at $65, I'm going to give it a 6.5. And that's not even saying I don't really like it. I was just, I guess, a little bit disappointed. Maybe my hopes were a little bit higher than what I just tasted. But I got another half a little bottle left, so hey, who knows? Maybe it'll blow my socks off. The 15-year-old darkest, I think that's a solid 7.5. I like peated sherried whiskeys, which are kind of unique-ish. There's not a ton of them out there. And I like the type of peat and smoke that's in here, that kind of barbecue, woody, and peat with the sherry, I think is quite unique. I haven't experienced that much. So I think that's a 7.5. $100 a bottle for a 15-year-old. That's unique. I think that's fairish. I think that's fair. It's probably maybe a little, yeah, that's fair. So 7.5. I'll give this 7.5. This guy right here, the 18-year-old, this was the best of the 3. In my opinion, this I think deserves more time. So I can see, I liked it enough that I think at $150 for an 18-year-old, I think I would spend that. It would be kind of obviously maybe a little more of a special occasion bottle for me. I'm not drinking on a Wednesday night with a burrito, but I like it enough. Yeah, I like it enough that I could see myself spending the money on that and really enjoying that. I know that I just got more kind of fruits on this the last taste here. So I think this is something that my palate might find more things as I drink more and more of it. So I would give this, I think this is an 8 out of 10. I think this is definitely worth, it's again, a little bit steep, but I think we all probably owe it to ourselves to have a couple of nice bottles at least in our collection. So if you like peated whiskeys and you like kind of complex, nutty, sweet, dark fruits, along with the smoke, I think this Bowmore 18 is definitely worth trying. If you can try it somewhere before buying it, that's even better, obviously. But again, if you like those types of flavor profiles and $150 doesn't scare you away, then this one I would definitely recommend. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm glad I can check Bowmore off my list of to-dos, and I'm happy I tried them. A little disappointed on 12, like I said. This guy's pretty good, pretty interesting, and this guy was definitely a winner over here. So that's it. Thanks for watching Happy Hour, and have a great day. See you next time.